Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with just kind of some thoughts about the Bible and just you know about interpreting it literally. And again, I just like to do these kind of thought experiments for myself. First of all, today I have time. The weather is not good. We're recovering from a storm last couple of days, so I'm just kind of taking it easy. But I like to always think of like the opposite case and challenge myself, mentally, because there's no one out there who can. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. It's just no one cares about the Bible, which is strange to me. So I do these different cases in my head just to compare my literal interpretation versus a non-literal one. And so I just want people to understand that how scary it would be if the Bible was meant to be interpreted in a non-literal way. And so the literalness is not always true, like you can't just always literally read it, but within reason, like for example, the mark of the beast passage saying that, it's in the right hand or on the forehead. A reasonable interpretation of that is that it's either hand, because in a later passage it talks about it doesn't specify which hand. And so that's a reasonable interpretation that if it's in the right or left hand, it's the same thing. And so, but it's literally in the skin. It's not a stamp on the top of the hand, like, just literally like if you're at a carnival. It's not a necklace. It's not a ID card and all that, because then those things have already happened. Then anybody who gets like a little stamp or anything like that to go to a certain place, a club, or has an immunization card, which we all have in Canada, then we all have the mark of the beast. And it's the same with people who think that it's paper currency, which is insane. That means everybody's just going to get destroyed and that kind of thing. So, it's that's a reasonable but still literal interpretation of, for example, the mark of the beast. And so, and it's reasonable because it doesn't matter what hand you're getting something in. It's just the fact that you're interested in staying in that system that God hates. And so God would be able to still punish that person, even if they're trying to sneak it, cheat the system and cut corners and get the mark in their left hand, for example. Or no, can you put it down here, or put it up here on my wrist so it's like not technically in my hand. That's a person who obviously loves this system and wants to be here. And then anybody who loves this world, the Bible says God hates them, and then they hate God. And so their spirit's like off. And so that's the most important thing. And so again, for a lot of people, we're not getting anywhere near that mark. Like we know right now that this place is literally hell and it's getting worse. So it's not even tempting, for a lot of us, but a lot of atheists as well. But so that's a reasonable and a literal interpretation. And then God would be able to rightly punish somebody who tried to like cut corners. And so it's the same thing with the two witnesses, for example. Like if the two witnesses is not literal, then how do we know how to read any other aspect of the Bible? And so if like two witnesses within reason, are two people, we don't know exactly who they are, their names and stuff. But if Revelation 11, for example, doesn't read and happen the way that it says, or in Revelation 16 and Revelation 13 with the mark of the beast and all of them, 17 and 18, which talk about America being destroyed, or Mystery Babylon being destroyed, which is obviously America. So if we can't take a reasonable and literal interpretation of those chapters, then how can we trust the Bible? It's like, then some of it is just coming true by coincidence, I guess, or something like that. And so I just want people to know that a reasonable and literal interpretation of the Bible is pretty much appropriate even in Revelation, which I would say used to be somewhat cryptic for a lot of people, but not really anymore, and that's why I think, again, this time is very, very exciting, because the Bible is making a lot of literal claims about what's going to happen and in a fairly condensed period of time. And so, we just, at this point, have to like just wait, and watch it, and see if it literally plays out. And that's amazing, to me. And so these people who are talking about doing all these non-literal breakdowns of Revelation and really the whole Bible, they're then you can't really expect anything to come from the Bible, and that kind of thing. And so none of it will make sense. And then their job is just essentially to confuse people, and all that kind of stuff. And then we don't know what their real end goal, their intention is with that. And so I wouldn't go down that road. The point of this thought is just that if God presents a book to us that you have to be non-literal a lot, then how can he hold us accountable to it? It's like, well, if that's not literal, then like, what about all these other verses that tell us to not sin or to like love the poor or whatever, keep the law? How were those literal too? That it's like, well, if God was not literal in all these other places, then how can he hold us to a literal standard of living, and a way of life and a level of dignity and morality and all that kind of stuff? Then I don't know, we could be like, well, how do we know like what you're talking about? So if you're literal about these things, about our way of life, and we're trying to do that, and then even though we're not allowed to in this system at all, then how do we know that you were literal about all these other things? And so, I want people to know there are certain passages that are a little bit, I would say, cryptic in the Bible and take a little bit of discernment, but not really actually that many in the book of Revelation. The only thing that's difficult about the book of Revelation is just the sequence. But everything else to me it almost just literally reads like a movie if you put the chapters in the right order. And, it starts with 11 and 16 as sister chapters. And then, or 12 comes first, then 11 and 16 are together. Also with 13, which is the Mark of the Beast chapter. So those three are next. And then America gets destroyed. And so 17 and 18 come next. And then 19, 20, and then 20 and 21 and 22. And so, once you get those groupings together, then it plays out sequentially. And then, like I've said in one of my past videos, 7, 14, and 21 are just summary chapters. And so they go through the sequence, 2 of them in the correct order and 1 in the reverse order. So it's kind of like a break, like it's literally like a play, where you have like intermissions. And that's amazing, because we're living on a stage, and it's just, it's really a movie that's playing out. And I suspect we're at the end of it. And so, just know that, like it's not that deep in the times that we live in now. And that's again why going back and forth with these Hebrews, like it shouldn't be that hard, especially like if you're talking to like a math person and you give them like a fairly easy problem and they don't know or don't want to answer and talk about every other emotional topic, something else is going on. Like I would say a lot of people, if you just give them the book of Revelation and tell them to put it in sequence, they could probably figure it out. Even if they don't really know that much about religion, you just tell them, give them some guidance about what 17 and 18 refer to, and that's America, then they can kind of figure it out, and like, okay, well, this probably is the way that it's working. And then they could know that some of the stuff at the beginning is like historical, has already occurred, and that kind of thing. And so, I don't know, like to me, this is again like very, very exciting and amazing that the Bible is running out of time, to prove itself to be literally true, because the thing that it's saying in the book of Revelation, the whole thing is just very, very clear, to many of us, even if it's not perfectly crystallized, the sequence and stuff, but it's very, very clear that it's speaking, to the times that we live in now, and in a literal way. And so this to me is very, very exciting. And again, it has to be, because then if that's not literally true, then how can we be held accountable for all the other stuff in the Bible that of the way we're supposed to live? And then if the Bible, let's say hypothetically, is not true, then it's just really all Christianity's gone, and the Hebrew Israelites, all of them are just peddling a lie. And then the Quran is gone as well, because it's correlated to it. And then Judaism, gone. And then Latter-day Saints, gone. The Mormons. And so, I mean, what do we have left in society as far as people who were the ones who are authoritative on how to be a virtuous person and live a certain way? Then our whole structure would be flipped upside down in terms of morality, And so we would then need to go to people who have been not necessarily atheists, but against the Bible to tell us the right way to live. And that would be a major upheaval, of the structures of the world. And so this is again why it's amazing that the God of the Bible is he's running out of time, and I think that for those waiting, this is an amazing time to be alive, because the evil is so obvious and so literal out there. The evil is so obvious and literal in the book of Revelation that now God has to follow through on what he's saying. And so if two witnesses don't mean two witnesses, then I don't know how to read any other aspect of the Bible. And so because that's just what it says, and there's no reason for anybody to, for example, read that and not just, that's what it's going to be. And so that's what I'm waiting for. And so that's why I have a tremendous amount of comfort in the stuff that I've taught. But now it's just a wait and see, and I'm just like anybody else. Like I can't prove to anybody that what I've shared at the first of this year is true unless it literally happens, because I'm not going to believe if it's true unless it literally happens. And so Jesus Christ, or the Hebrews call Yahushua, he doesn't even know that the Bible is true until he's sent back, to do what he's required in Revelation 1:7, that to come back and all eyes will see him, even those who pierced him. And so that verse hasn't been fulfilled yet. And so, and only the Most High knows the timing of that. So he's waiting to some extent too. And so we're all just waiting, and so to me, again, like, I'm not trying to minimize the importance of people, talking about the Bible and teaching it as, and all that, but the evil is just obvious, in the world. Like, definitely small channels like mine aren't going to go and influence people to realize that they live in an evil world. And then the people who are going to understand that this is hell, only God can open up their mind to that. I can't do that. Like, that's from the Most High, because that's the biggest deception that's ever been pulled on anybody, that they're in hell. And so if a person knew that at any point in human history, they would be excited to get out of here. So the Hebrews, this guy, Obadiah's judgment, keeps saying like, oh, the Most High is going to put this guy to death and all that kind of stuff. But he doesn't understand that death is a reward. Imagine if you're in jail and somebody opens up the cell and lets you out. Would you be angry? Like, hey, no, shut the cell. I want to stay in here. Get out of here. I want to stay. Go away. No. So if you're in hell, and the only way to get out of hell is to be in the spirit, because body and soul can be destroyed in hell. So it's a physical place. And so death is a reward, and so they're mental. They're backwards. Like they don't get it. And so this again is a person who claims to understand that there was a brutal slave trade that occurred, that's obviously hell. That's just one example of the many, many aspects of this world being hell, historically, currently, and then more in the future with the mark of the beast. And so, it's that's the mindset, that we have. And then I can't go and tell somebody that, they have to only know that from God. But it's not really that hard, I would say. I think just everyday average people will say, more often than not these days, I'm catching hell. Man, this is hell. I'm going through hell. And they're all true. This is hell. And the only way you can, quote, go through hell is if your feet are walking on the earth. You cannot go through hell in the spirit world. Satan's not throwing parties up there, and like, raping people and doing homosexual acts and stuff like that in the spirit world. No, that's the Most High's will is being done perfectly. It's pure. And it's the opposite of what's going on here. And may your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so there's none of that going on up there. And so all these people wishing death upon other people, it's like, that means that you get out of here and get away from stupid people here who don't know anything, about the Bible and the end times and the sequence, when, it's like, literally you can figure it out probably in like an hour or something. Like, it's not that deep, what I've put together. And so, but again, still waiting for these people to tell me what the sequence of the end times is according to their Papa Tahar, T-God. So, I just, again, this is a good time for the Bible literalists out there. If you are one or you're planning to be one, all we do now is wait to see if the Bible is literally true. And we don't have the responsibility of proving that to anybody. It's the Bible, if it's going to be literally true, it has to show us all eyes will see him. So if God has to prove it to all of us, and I don't believe what I teach until I see it. And so I've just put a deadline on that I will wait and be have an expectation that will happen. But this again is to me a very, very exciting time, that for those people who are Bible literalists and know that that means that the Christ will literally return, then we just wait, and then we will be able to then know that what we've put our hope in was a good thing, was a wise decision to wait on God. But again, I don't think that that event is very far away. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.